It is our first official show in the month of September, and with the month of September starting, the Rockies have officially expanded their roster. What went into the decisions to move Drew Romo and Ryan Rolson back to the roster? Why did some of the other prospects not make the cut? We talk about that and more coming up next on the DNVR Rockies podcast. Everyone, welcome in to the DNVR Rockies podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code DNVR365. Place a bet for $5. You can get $150 back in bonus bets. Welcome back. Feels like it's been months since we last talked. It's been what, like a week almost?
Yeah,
literally?
It's been almost a week.
Almost a week. I've been kind of checked out the last week. Been out of town doing some college football stuff. It's been super busy. So I'm checking back into Rockies land, and we were one day away from being able to have a victory podcast Monday. We were going to be doing our show yesterday, but of course, with Labor Day, our producers texted us and said, hey guys, no show on Monday, move it to Tuesday. So here we are on Tuesday with a little bit less than victory show, but you know, the Rockies had a walk-off in their last win. We can celebrate that.
Yeah, we've gotten a few Mondays where we could have come in here and just been excited.
Yeah, felt
coming
good.
Off a massive high with a win, and instead we have the letdown of the worthless hit game, as I like to call it. And I get hated on a lot on Twitter for it, but yesterday was a perfect example of that. You out-hit the Giants 13-11, you lose 8-2. Make that make sense, Christian.
Yeah.
Make that make sense.
I actually was reading, I don't know if you guys saw this article, Manny Rwanda, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's a writer for MLB.com. He put out an article where he talked to Clint Hurdle about growing pains and, you know, some of the young guys. And Clint pretty much talked specifically, although it was before yesterday's game, but he referenced what we saw yesterday in the Rockies game where, you know, I mean, the growing pains that he's noticing from an offensive standpoint are those empty at-bats. You know, you get a guy at second base and the next three batters pass and that guy's still standing at second base, right? Those are the type of growing pains that you hate to see as a fan, you hate to see as a coach, and I would argue you hate to see as a player. So we'll talk about some of that as the show goes on. We got a packed show. Want to talk about the catching situation because we do have an expanded catching situation now. Three catchers on the roster now for the Colorado Rockies. We'll talk about some of the guys that didn't make the cut. Zach Veen, Stelin, Thompson, some of those guys. We'll also talk about, you know, some management situation, and we'll start previewing the upcoming games for the Colorado Rockies and get ready for this last push into the offseason. It's less than a month away from the end of baseball season, which is crazy. And I know it's been a long year. If anyone was tuning in for the first time right now on the DNVR Rockies podcast, you'd probably be asking the question, like, why are we talking about this at this point, right? You guys have been eliminated, feels like years ago. But as we always say, you know, we're sickos. We are a glutton for pain. We like to just be involved in all this. And also, we just love baseball, and this is what we get. So here we are in the month of September now, on the precipice of either being a 40-win baseball team or a 100-loss baseball team. So it's an interesting place to be.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like
it could be fun.
If you like the Rockies and are truly a diehard, these times will pass. They've been rough, no doubt about it. 100-loss season 3 years in a row is not fun to go to the game and just watch our team get blitzed like I did on Friday night with my son, which was great.
40,000 other Cubs fans.
Yeah, and he kept cheering when the Cubs did something good because all the people around us were cheering when the Cubs did something good. So I had to give him a little elbow into the side. I'm like, hey, dude, this is not the time to clap. And then when we did score 2 runs at some point, I was louder than hell, and I like Simba'd him up there when we scored.
You're covering his eyes as you're flipping off Cubs fans.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, we're in it. I mean, we've been in it all year, and now we have the not the worst team in history banner to look forward to. So that we're kind of tracking that, and this is a good time. to talk about the September call-ups and talk about the guys that we need and what we need to see in this last month. Because the one thing I really hope doesn't happen to us this year that happened to us last year is the September almost 500 record. I think I looked it up last show. We had almost 500 record in September last year, which was fun. That'd be great to see again, to narrowly or marginally avoid the historic mark. But I don't want to be misled again. And I want them to play good baseball, don't get me wrong. But I want that good baseball to turn into a stepping stone, into a good spring, and into a not necessarily playoff team in 2027 or 2026. We don't think that's going to happen, but like take a step into being a competitive team next year and don't make this last month of the season worthless. Like let's make something out of this. Winning or losing games is not really that's what sports are about, but that's not really where the Rockies are at. It's like, let's see if we got some legit guys in these guys that are playing. Let's see if we can put together a team and a group of guys that will then enter spring training next year and have some good feelings about how they finish this year.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys watch this show, you know me, you know my take on this. I have a little bit of PTSD from last year because I do remember last year going into the clubhouse, in the month of September, talking to guys like Brenton Doyle, Michael Tolia, Kyle Freeland, and them saying, hey, look, I know we've said this before, but we're taking a step in the right direction, right? This is big. We're growing from this. I can see next year being a competitive year for us. And now we all know how 2025 has panned out. So I'm not really even going to apologize for being cynical. There is a huge part of me that feels cynical about if the Rockies were to go on a run, like really they have in this second half of the season, albeit they've lost the last 9 out of their last 11. But for a while there, going into this last 11-game stretch, they have been better. And we've been sitting here saying, or on the verge of saying, hey, this is kind of fun again. This is a good team. This is a team that, God forbid, could be competitive if you figured out some of your pitching situations. I still am a little pessimistic. I still I'm withholding my excitement for some of these young players because I just think we haven't seen enough, right? If you can get me to the month of June next year and you are, I don't know, just a better one than what we've seen the last 6 years in the month of June, then I can start to feel a little bit more confidence. But what I don't want to see is a month of September that ends up just being a flash in the pan, right? Where you say, hey, we won some fun games. We obviously looked better in some areas, but then it gives the ownership and management this confidence that like, maybe we don't have to make changes this offseason. Maybe we don't have to spice things up a little bit. Maybe we don't have to make those tough decisions, and you go into 2026 in the same exact place you were in 2024.
100%. And I think a perfect example of that is you can boil it down to, the whole team's been pretty rough this year. There's no denying that, but you can boil it down to just the bullpen, and then you can boil that even more down to Luis Peralta. That's a perfect example of a guy that last September was a beast. I think, didn't he have like a record for the most like scoreless? Yeah. And then you can look up our show from March or February when we're like, the bullpen's going to be so good.
Yeah. And Bud Black, went on record saying like this bullpen's got the stuff to be better than anyone.
Right. And there's been guys, Herget's been great. Bird was great and got traded and turned into Halverson's been good and hurt. Vodnik's been good. So it's not like it's all bad, but Luis Peralta, and I hate to hate on him because that 3-run home run he gave up on Sunday is still ingrained in my brain, even though the Rockies walked it off and kind of tried to wash that away. But he was a guy that you're like, all right, he's coming in the season. He's going to be a beast. He's going to be a lefty out of our bullpen that we need. Didn't even start the season on the major league roster. Never made his way up. Finally made his way up, and now is been terrible. And it's not saying that he's going to have a terrible career or can't turn it around, but that is a boiled down exact example of what we saw last September that turned into a disaster this year that we don't want to repeat that history.
Yeah, it's tough, and we don't have a crystal ball. So all we can do is sit here and kind of analyze what we see today. And the reality is the Rockies are still a long way out from being competitive, and there are still a lot of growing pains, even for the guys that have been exciting. But let's talk about some of this roster expansion. We saw Drew Romo, who I kind of agree with Felix. We all kind of forgot about Drew Romo. Not literally, but we haven't seen him or really heard about him all season long. All of a sudden, the roster expands. You get to call up 2 guys, and Drew Romo, his name gets brought back into the mix. And if you remember in 2024, Drew Romo got called up, and he was your Zach Veen. He was your guy that you were like, all right, the Rockies are calling up maybe not as big of a prospect as Zach Veen is, but the excitement was there. He, on paper, was arguably your best defensive catcher in your organization. His bat was in the minors, was playing really well at the time. And you thought, hey, this is going to be a guy that hopefully can stick and can fill the gap of the catching spot, which has been elusive for years, for, decades. I don't know if the Rockies have ever had that consistent catcher, outside of just a couple big stints from, your Chris Iannettas and, those kind of things. But Drew Romo just fizzled out. His bat was non-existent. His throwback to the mound was wonky, and his confidence wasn't really there. And he just went back down to the minors and just kind of disappeared. And so now Drew Romo's back. And I think initially we were sitting there scratching our heads saying, oh, why do the Rockies need 3 catchers? Hunter Goodman has been playing all-star level baseball his entire season. And Braxton Fulford has came up and looked really, really good. He's your backup catcher right now. Why does Drew Romo get called up? So before I kind of give my take on this, what were your thoughts when you saw that? Because that was a bit of a head scratcher at first.
I'm with Felix. And you said you're smarter than I am. You pay a little bit more attention than I do to the Rockies and their roster. But I legit forgot about Drew Romo. I didn't kind of forget. I completely forgot about him.
I didn't think we'd see him at all.
And when I tweeted something yesterday Sunday about how good Fulford was, because he's been one of my favorites. It seems like every game he gets a hitter and RBI that he starts in. And I have some numbers to kind of not back up to every game, but most of the games. And then Drew Romo gets called up, and I'm like, oh my God, because I think this is the guy that, whether or not you follow the minor leagues a ton, this is the guy that a lot of people have been hanging on to as like kind of in the Veen era of like a prospect that has a really, really high ceiling that we're expecting a lot from, but has not made the jump up to the major leagues for a good amount of time to give us a good idea. And I'm looking at last year in August. He was 7 for 30 in August. He had a 5-game hit streak ending the month of August. And then in September, Drew Romo was 2 for 21 in the month of September. So it kind of let us down. He was one of the Rockies that didn't play that well in September, and we kind of forgot about him. And then I believe he had an injury. Somebody made sure to tweet that at me, and that I was not being unfair to him. I don't think he's a bad player. It's just right now I don't see why. I mean, learning, I think Schaeffer said learning was the word. So I'm happy for him in that regard. It's not like the Isotopes winning a title or he needs to be down there to go anywhere. I think being with the Major League Club is a good thing, especially if they get some good vibes back and play decent September baseball. But I don't love it from the fact of I want Goodman getting as many at-bats as possible. I want Fulford getting as many at-bats as possible right now when he can. And then you're just adding a third catcher in there where it's like, how do you play him? And then if you do play him, do you play him? There's no way he's going to play enough to get a good read on how he's doing, right? Yeah. So it's like a weird, they're not going to take anything out of this month unless he somehow starts one game, hits like 2 bombs, then starts the next game and just continues this insane 15-game hitting streak or really good streak where he's hitting 300, 400. And you're like, oh, maybe, but still, I don't think there's enough time to get a legit read on what he's going to be, good or bad.
Yeah, here's the situation, I think, with the catching in Colorado right now. I think Hunter Goodman really messed up the Rockies' plans organizationally for their catcher position. I don't think Hunter Goodman was supposed to be the Rockies' long-term plan at catcher. And Goodman came in. He was an outfielder. He really never started as a catcher. His bat was so good that you couldn't get him out of the line. You couldn't keep him out of the lineup. And I also think he was too good to be a DH. And so the Rockies said, you know what? We don't have confidence in Romo right now. He needs more time in the minors. Fulford wasn't quite ready at the time yet either. You have Jacob Stallings, but Stallings obviously is not your long-term plan.
It's Scott to you.
Scott Stallings, correction. Hunter Goodman just, I think unfortunately for the Rockies organizationally, became your best possible catcher, quite literally, historically, the best catcher, at least offensively, in Rockies franchise history, at least on pace for that. So I think the Rockies are kind of scrambling. I think they're trying to adjust and figure out, hey, we drafted these guys, we brought these guys in who we were expecting to be the future of our organization at catcher, and they are no longer, they don't have a spot anymore. Braxton Fulford, Drew Romo, they do not have a specific spot. So as we see in the chat from Dinger's Burner, you're pretty much fighting for a backup spot. for, Hunter Goodman next year. And that's pretty much the situation right now. I think this is the Rockies organizationally trying to kind of salvage Drew Romo in any way that they can, to say, hey, we're giving Romo one last chance to get some experience at this level, kind of learn as much as he can. I do think they're going to try to trade him in the offseason and move him out of the organization, because you just don't have any space for him right now. Braxton Fulford is the easy option as your backup catcher. Hunter Goodman, the other Goodman, is your starting catcher for the foreseeable future, hopefully for another 10 plus years. So I think Romo, I put in the lower thirds, last chance for Romo. I don't even think it's last chance for Romo. I think this is just the Rockies not really knowing what else to do. They have a surplus of catchers right now. They're going to let Romo learn behind Goodman and Fulford, and then I think they're going to try to figure out what they do with him in the offseason.
Well, let me pose a big brain question to you.
Okay.
Do you think there's any chance that the Rockies start the 2026 season with Braxton Fulford as your starting catcher, Drew Romo as your backup, and find a place for Hunter Goodman somewhere else to play, because his defense is not elite.
It's not. No, I agree.
So is there a chance that we see Hunter Goodman in the lineup? Because he has to be. I mean, he's been your best hitter all year. He's going to hit 30 bombs. But is there a chance that they're wanting to see if the Fulford Romo position behind the plate is actually good? And then, there's still a question mark at first base. Maybe they move Goodman there. Maybe, I don't know. But that's what this kind of signals to me, unless they're going to trade Romo, which I'd be fine with at this point if you can get some value. But that's what it kind of signals to me, is they're trying to... Hunter Goodman's already converted himself once. He's not the greatest catcher behind the plate. Not that he's bad. He's a decent catcher behind the plate. But it almost is telling me, if Fulford continues to be as good as he is, they got to find at-bats for him. And maybe you start the 2026 season with Hunter Goodman as your DH that can go in and play first base, can go in and catch every third or fourth day, and maybe can play some outfield. I don't know. Yeah,
it's a layered response. And I do have a response to this. We got to hit our first break because we are at that 15-minute mark. So after the break, I will respond to Spencer's question. And I also want to talk about some of the guys that didn't make the cut on this roster expansion. Will we see them before this season ends? That's all coming up next on the DNVR Rockies podcast. Well, I want to give some love to our friends right now over at Coors Light. Coors Light is the official light beer of DNVR, of the Colorado Rockies. And there's only a few more games at Coors Field that you can actually go and enjoy a nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light. And I got to say, look, you can enjoy Coors Light no matter what time of year it is. It can be the middle of winter, freezing cold, and you can still get a nice Coors Light up on the ski lifts. And there's never a bad time to enjoy Coors Light, but it truly doesn't feel the same when it's not the middle of summer, 70, 80, even 90 degrees up at the rooftop, drinking a nice cold Coors Light. So you've got a few more games left. You could do that. Enjoy those refreshing Coors Light beers up on the rooftop or just anywhere at Coors Field. It's a great time. We do have another rooftop coming up here soon. We'll give you some more information on that. But summer's going to be leaving us sooner than we know. So enjoy that nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light before you miss out on all the wet, warm weather that we've had here in Colorado. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado. Well, speaking of summer and the waning days of summer, we got to give a shout out to our friends over at Shady Rays, because summer is a perfect time to, boost up your supply of sunglasses. And I know, there's this common misconception that, summer is the only time you can wear sunglasses. Well, if you've ever lived in Colorado for more than just 12 months, that's not the case. Colorado is sunny. What is it? 300 years, 300 years, 300 days out of the year.
300 days for 300 years.
For 300 years. Yeah, it is a damn sunny state that we live in here. You got to have some good sunglasses to go with the sun that we have here in Colorado. Almost more so in the winter sometimes, when you have the reflection of the snow bouncing off the ground or the sun bouncing off the snow. It can get extra bright in the winter. So make sure you are stocked up with plenty of sunglasses. Shady Rays has so many different styles. They have colors. They have so many different options, and they're very affordable. And they also have this cool deal where if you break your sunglasses, they will replace them for free. They're so durable, so you can take them up in the mountains. You can take them skiing, snowboarding, hiking, whatever you're into. If you break them, they will replace them. So see what kind of awesome deals they have over at Shady Rays. And right now we have an exclusive offer with our friends at Shady Rays. Head to shadyrays.com, use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades, rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Okay, before the break, Spencer posed the question, is there a world in which Hunter Goodman gets moved out of the catching role into a positional role, first base, right field, whatever that looks like, to keep his bat in the order, and you go with Braxton Fulford behind the dish? I don't think the Rockies are good enough to say that that's not an option. You've got to be open to anything right now. If Braxton Fulford keeps hitting the way that he's hitting, well, now you've got 2 catchers, theoretically, that you have to have their bats in the lineup. You've got to find ways to get them spots. And so I think everything's on the table. The Rockies are not in a position right now where you say, outside of maybe shortstop with Tovar and center field with Doyle, everything else is pretty much fair game. You don't have those positions locked down. You need Hunter Goodman's bat in the lineup. You know that for a fact. Everyone else is still proving themselves. Warming Bernabel, still proving himself. Kyle Karros, still proving himself. Jordan Beck, I would even argue, still proving himself, right? Like, until you've got guys out there that are winning awards in an all-star conversation, it's still a competition. These guys are 25 years old or less for most of the players on this team. So I'm not going to count out Hunter Goodman getting an opportunity to play first base or to play right field. I will say I do think the Rockies are developing him to be the long-term spot at catcher. And I think if he can continue to grow at that catcher's role, you could see them feeling more confident in his defense. But as of now, like you said, his defense isn't quite giving you the confidence where you would say, hey, as long as his bat is in the lineup, if we have a better option at catcher that's bat is also really good, we'll go with that. And I would be fine with Braxton Fulford being your starting catcher if his bat is playing as well as it's played recently.
100%. And I feel much more comfortable with, we'll talk about Warren Schaeffer and your gripes with him, but the amount he sits Goodman, it makes it way better to have Fulford there and a guy that it's not Austin Nola, it's not Scott Stallings, it's not any of these guys that you're like, oh, this guy's hitting 9th in the lineup and going to be a plug when Goodman's at the DH spot, and Goodman catching, I'm not saying I want him to switch back, but if his bat's going to continue to be this good, and hopefully he's not the Nolan Jones of 2 years ago and the Brenton Doyle of last year where they give us all this hope and make an all-star team and play really well, and then the next year just don't come out with the same fire. But if you want to extend Hunter Goodman's career long-term, the Buster Posies and the Yadier Molinas of the world are not, it doesn't happen much anymore. If you catch in the major leagues, you're not having a long sustained career. So I think it's just an interesting thought that if we do get a Goodman start at first base in September, I think that's signaling the potential of that being the plan. And this all may be a moot point. If they don't think Romo's good enough, then there's no point in trying to make him your backup catcher next year. The Rockies have very few good things going for them. And right now, the catching position, having a 1A and 1B, and 1A is one of the better offensive catchers in the entire Major League Baseball. 1B is a decent offensive catcher, a really good defensive catcher, and has huge hits for you in almost every game he plays. I think that don't mess with that.
Yeah, I agree. So Romo is going to be interesting. I'm curious to talk to Schaeffer more about that as I start going back to games here soon. But some of the guys that didn't make the cut, Stelin Thompson, we've heard his name thrown out there a bunch, but also Zach Veen. I've had a lot of people since the roster expansion announcement was made asking me, hey, why Zach Veen's your, 4th rated prospect right now? Why is Zach Veen not on the list? Why is he not one of the guys that's called up? He's hitting 290, almost 300 in the minors right now. To my understanding, he's not hurt. I haven't heard anything about that. Why is Zach Veen not, another guy that got called up? And I think the simple answer, without knowing anything beyond this, is I don't think you have any space for him. I mean, you've got Jordan Beck, who's going to be playing consistently in left field. You obviously have Brent Doyle in center field.
On a heater.
On a heater, yeah, heater. Totally. Can't move Brenton out of there. You're not sitting him for any reason aside from rest. You have Mickey Moniak, who is also playing well, walking off, games and giving you clutch at bats, that kind of thing. You've got Yanquiel Fernandez, who is playing really well as of late, and you have Tyler.
ABs.
He needs ABs, and you have Tyler Freeman. I think there's a world in which we could have seen Zach Veen if Yanquiel Fernandez wasn't on the offensive heater that he's been on recently. If you look at his numbers, I don't have them in front of me, but over the last handful of games that he's played, Yanquiel has had really good at-bats, and he's had some really good hits. So I think if Yanquiel had continued the so-so offensive production that he had when he started, when he got initially called up to the big leagues, maybe we had seen Zach Veen. But like Lefty in the chat says, I have been told by numerous people close to the organization that the Rockies have zero faith in Zach Veen's maturity and his mental ability, right? The not the confidence. I don't want to say confidence because he's got confidence. He has plenty of confidence. His maturity. It really just comes down to his maturity. The Rockies do not have any faith in what he's got going on up here. So I don't think they're ready to bail on him yet, or at least I haven't heard that. But I do think there are some things that would have to play out at the big league level that would open up a route for Zach Veen to get called back up. So we'll see. I'm not counting him out as a guy that's not going to be called up at some point in the month of September. And he could also be called up in a situation like Romo, where you just say, hey, we want him to just be up and be around some of these big league guys. Maybe have some of these big league guys, hold him accountable a little bit. I know that the Rockies really are expecting him to grow up a bit. So that could be something that we expect to see, but there's just no room for him. It's another one of those Romo situations where you're like, hey, you might see him once a week at most at this point. So you're not giving him reps at the big league level. It's just a learning situation for him.
Yep. And you mentioned Yanquiel Fernandez, his last 4 games, he's hitting .500, has 4 RBIs in 4 games, and has 2 doubles and a homer.
Yeah.
Like he's
good enough.
And it's when you went through the Rockies, I mean, obviously these guys aren't playing all-star level baseball. Maybe right now in this little blip of time, they're nearing it, but you have 5 outfielders that you need to try to play every day. And we already talked about the issue of having 2 catchers that are good enough to have their bats in the lineup. Now you have 5 outfielders that you're trying to get time for and have their bats in the lineup. Like it seems silly to say they have an embarrassment of riches right now. It's not an embarrassment of riches. It's an embarrassment of whatever is right below riches. But there's so many guys right now that you
embarrassment of reps. I mean, it's an embarrassment of reps because you just need to give these guys reps, right? You gotta be able to play the guys that should be playing. Doyle, Goodman. You have to play those guys because you are also going out and trying to win baseball games. But you also need to get all these guys these reps. So yeah, it's a tough situation. But at the same time, the Rockies are about to lose 100 games in the next couple days, if not today. So you've got to start figuring out some of these young guys. And it's one of the points I wanted to make later in the show is, when do we start graduating from growing pains to actual growth? Not just, hey, it's growing pains, but like, hey, this is stuff that's sticking. These guys are figuring it out. These are long-term plans. Hunter Goodman, for example, graduated this year from growing pains to growth. He is officially your guy that you have in the lineup. And he'll be in the lineup for years to come, hopefully. But Rollison got called up as well. Wanted to touch on this real quick before we take our next break, but people were asking me the same kind of questions. Hey, why are, Ryan Rollison's been kind of bad for the Rockies every time he's gotten some chances. Why are the Rockies calling him up instead of your Zach Veens or Stelin Thompsons? And the simple answer to that is you need to call up a bullpen guy anytime, even for the teams that are at the bottom of the barrel, which the Rockies are very much in the bottom of the barrel. You always have to call up a bullpen guy. I don't have the stats in front of me of some of the other bullpen options. If you can think of another bullpen guy in the minors who, maybe you would make a case for getting some of those reps, drop it in the chat. I'd be happy to think about that. But off the top of my head, Ryan Rollison seems like the next best fit. I don't know. It's tough because at the same time, he's another guy you want to kind of see a little bit more reps before the season ends so you can make a legitimate decision on him. But you still just, at minimum, you just need bullpen pitchers.
Right. And you need a guy, in Rollison is a perfect example of this, a guy that can eat multiple innings.
Yes.
Like Senzatella's in there.
Yeah,
If you go, every game that you get kind of blown out or a game like yesterday where you feel like it's a little bit out of reach, Rollison and Senzatella are perfect to get in there in the 6th inning and maybe finish the game. That's what they need versus calling up any of these, maybe future setup men or future closers to pitch in very low leverage situations. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense. So a guy like Rolison that can throw 3 to 4 innings, basically a borderline spot start, essentially, when you're getting blown out, which will happen another 15 to 20 times the rest of this season, is a good thing for the rest of the arms in the pen. So then when you do have a game where you're close or you need to keep a lead, you've got the Vodniks, the Hergets, those guys available to actually win you a game.
Yeah, I know. Dinger's Burner says calling up Hughes to try to make a 6-man rotation would have been fun. I still think the Rockies will take a chance on at least one starter this year. I think that's the biggest question mark right now. Your offense has been competent to, in some degrees with some of these young guys the last few months. So your big question mark remains the starting rotation. And I do think they need to start getting some idea of what that's going to look like in 2026. So I wouldn't be against them calling up Gabriel Hughes or Sean Sullivan if they can handle physically the workload that's required, even in the month of September at a big league level. So we'll see. We'll see on that. We got to take our second break. After the break, though, Spencer kind of alluded to it. I have my first official gripe with Warren Schaeffer that I want to air out a little bit, get your guys' thoughts are. It's not a big one, just little, but I do have a gripe with Warren Schaeffer that I want to touch on when we come back from this next break. I want to give some love to our friends right now over at Bet365, because at Bet365, we don't do ordinary. And the Rockies, although they've lost 9 of their last 11, they have had, if you're betting against them, it's been a bit of a challenge because, like you said, they out-hit the Cubs yesterday and still lost. So, Spencer, what's your approach? Using that code DNVR365 for you guys signing up at home. What's the approach to this Giants game, I should say, not the Cubs, Giants game tonight?
Right now, I like, this is a crazy take because it's Rockies and it's at Coors Field, but I like the under in the game tonight. I think Logan Webb shuts our offense down. I think Kyle Freeland, he's going to give up 2 to 3 runs in the first
inning, yeah.
But then he's going to be locked down after that. He's going to fight his way through it, go give you 3 earned runs, and be good. So I actually like also taking the run in the first inning, which on the Bet365 app is the Giants are plus 190 to win the first inning. And I love that because Freeland just kind of always gives up a run or two. He even gets 2 outs sometimes, then gives up back-to-back home runs. See his last start. Like, run in the first inning is a safe bet for tonight, and I do like the under in the game at 10.5. I would think that between Webb and Freeland, I see this like a 5-3, 6-4 type of game.
Yeah, I'd take that. A somewhat pitching duel, to say the least. Use that code again, DNVR365, when you sign up. See why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Well, also, I was mentioning earlier that, we only got a few more games left at Coors Field before the season ends. If you were heading out to Coors Field this year to wrap up the baseball season, gotta check out our friends over at Game Time. Use the Game Time app for any tickets, for any event, really, in Colorado or beyond. I know it's not just baseball, right? We've got Broncos season right around the corner, then the Nuggets, then the Avs. I mean, sports are in full swing right now, and I am absolutely loving it. We had college football starting up over the weekend again. Game Time is the perfect place to get tickets because they have so many awesome things. They've got all of the fees and taxes included, so when you go and check out on the Game Time app, you can actually see exactly the number you're going to pay, so you don't get surprised when you go to check out and you're like, oh my gosh, why is it $100 more than what I thought it was going to be? They've got zone deals. They've got, seat views where you can check out the view from each specific seat. They've also got Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase will be covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So many cool opportunities with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and beyond with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Tap ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Also, real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out. If you guys are at home watching this on YouTube, which I'm assuming some of you are, most of you are, we're doing this really special and cool thing that we're celebrating here this week. It is officially the Big Brother, Big Sister Month here at DNVR, which is an awesome, awesome nonprofit that we've partnered with. If you haven't heard of Big Brothers, Big Sisters, you got to check them out. Head over to their website. You can see the link down below on the screen. But they do incredible stuff of basically just helping connect with some of the young athletes and young kids in our community to help give them opportunities to play, to sign up and just get outside and have some fun. And I know they do incredible work. And this week, especially, we are emphasizing donations. So if you are so inclined, no pressure at all, head over to our YouTube channel if you're not already there, and go leave a donation. All of the donations head to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So it's a really cool thing. We are trying to knock all of our other markets out here at DNVR, trying to send the most money over to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So shout out to them. They do incredible work. Also, you can head over to their website if you are interested at all in becoming a big. They do some awesome stuff. So shout out to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. But I said before the break, my one gripe with Warren Schaeffer, I've noticed that. I don't know if I've talked about this yet on the show, but it's been growing a little bit over the last few weeks. It started with the Dodgers series. We had gone into the post-game presser. The Rockies took 2 out of 4 in that last Dodgers series, and that was huge. The Rockies beat the Dodgers 2 out of 4 times. And so, of course, a common question that was posed to Warren Schaeffer in the post-game was, hey, look, man, the Rockies are on pace to lose 100 games. They're divisional rivals with the Dodgers. The Dodgers spend $700 billion, it feels like, every offseason. And the Rockies just went out and in the Shohei Ohtani game kind of dominated the Dodgers. Does it feel more meaningful to do that against the Dodgers? And Schaeffer kind of laughed it off and said, no, of course not. This is just a normal opponent. We play the Dodgers like we play any other team. Doesn't matter who they are, how much money they spend. It's the same thing. And I was sitting with some of the other guys in the press box, and we were kind of looking at each other like, okay, like I get what you're trying to say, but that's also just not true, right? The Dodgers are the Dodgers. You have to understand there is some weight that comes to that. And while you as the manager have to, on paper, approach every team as if they're exactly the same, right? You want to have the same mindset. You don't want to think an opponent is bigger than another when you're planning out the game. There are certain games that mean more than others just because of the reality of that. So I think I was a little bit like, I didn't really like that answer, but I get it. I understood that. But I've seen this come up a couple times recently with Chase Dollander. So I saw this from Patrick Saunders. Patrick Saunders posted on Twitter yesterday. He was asking Warren Schaeffer about Chase Dollander's home and road splits, which, if you haven't been paying attention, Chase Dollander, terrible at Coors Field, has almost a 10 ERA at Coors Field, and is actually pretty good on the road. I think he has a sub-4 ERA when he's pitching on the road, which is the best out of any Rockies pitcher this year. So Patrick Saunders brings up Chase Dollander's home and road splits, and Warren Schaeffer shrugs it off and says, no, home and road splits don't matter. We don't look at that. And it's too early to even look at that with Chase. Not a big deal. We don't have to worry about home and road splits with Chase. I would argue you do. I would argue Chase Dollander's been pitching almost an entire big league season aside from about a month in the middle of the year. And that's a stark contrast between home and road splits. 10 ERA at home, sub-4 ERA on the road. That's something you have to look at. The other one was we had asked Warren. There was another one of the games that Chase Dollander pitched the other day where he was, again, getting to those 2-strike counts, which we know Chase does. He gets to 2-strike counts and he cannot strike guys out. And so we asked Warren postgame, hey man, does Chase struggle with a put-away pitch? Because it feels like he's, we read him some stats actually where, he got to, 7 or 8 2-strike counts and ended up losing in those counts, either walking a guy or giving up a hit. And so we asked him, is Chase struggling with a put-away pitch? And Warren kind of laughed at us like, it's Chase Dollander. He doesn't struggle with a put-away pitch. Every single one of his pitches is a put-away pitch. So the point I'm trying to make here is I feel like Warren Schaeffer is almost, and I don't know if this is just a byproduct of him being a new manager or if this is just his mindset where he tries to be, he's almost avoiding admitting the obvious to a fault. Because you look at some of these situations that I just brought up, and the reality that all of us see, every single person sees, is the complete opposite of what he's saying. And maybe I just have a little bit of like that Rockies PTSD because we've seen Rockies ownership, Rockies management, the front office go out there and say the overly confident, hey, we're going to be the best defense in the history of baseball this year. Oh, our bullpen has a chance to be, has the best stuff in all of baseball. Or, oh, you could surprise us. This could be a playoff team. And then everyone else who is looking at it through the reality of just the real world sits there and says, no, come on, man. Like, that's not actually going to happen. And then we actually see what happens. So I'm just starting to see a couple of those moments where Schaeffer's kind of brushing off some of the reality of what he's being faced with as if it doesn't matter. And I don't like that. I like managers who go out there and who can be genuine and who can say, yeah, look, Chase is really struggling with that put away pitch. You guys just said it. The stats show it. But I think he has the confidence to get that put away pitch to a place where he can start getting strikeouts. Like, I want to start seeing more of that genuine nature. Do you feel like you've noticed that in your interactions with him?
100%. But I think where it comes from with Warren, and you notice it's in this specific examples, it's mostly about Chase Stolander, who you hope is the ace of a staff that is making the playoffs in 27 or 28, right? Like, he has that stuff. And I think he's just being loyal to his player to a fault. And I think he can't get, like, you're not going to hear him say that about Ryan Rolison if he goes out and throws 4 scoreless innings. Or, he's very much a player's manager, which I like. But when you have a team that's this bad record-wise and you constantly keep losing games, and then, I think it's wearing on him a little bit. He's trying not to show it. I've seen it in some of the post-game interviews. He just walks in and he's like, you can just tell he like doesn't want to answer any questions. He just got blown out again.
Doesn't want to be critical. Yeah.
You just want to kind of like talk about the good things. And it's like my tweets every game. I in the what went right and what went wrong, I love to fill up the what went right with all the little things that were good. And the what went wrong is just like, we were just bad and got blown out, or the starter is bad, or this. Like, he's just a player's coach to a fault. And it is kind of frustrating when he doesn't, he's just like protecting Chase, I think.
It feels like toxic positivity almost. Like, where you're not willing to admit the reality of the situation you find yourself in.
Right, that he's like yesterday was a perfect example. Dolander gets a 3-2 count with the bases loaded. He ends up walking a guy. He goes from, I was kind of crafting my tweet, and I was like, Dolander's going to have a good start. He's going to go 5-6 innings and allow 3 runs. That's great, especially at Coors Field. And he gets 3-2. He hits a guy before that. Then he gets 3-2 on another guy with the bases loaded. Can't put him away and walks him. And then the next guy check swing double, and you're down 6-0, and the game's over in the blink of an eye because you couldn't put him away. And so if you're not seeing those things as a manager, and at least I hope internally he at least sees them, but it's definitely a toxic positivity, which we try to have sometimes. But if somebody's out toxic positivitying the DNVR Rockies show or like that, then it's kind of an insane level.
You're going too far. No, and we've seen it a couple times after bad losses too, where I've been in a post-game presser with him multiple times after a bad loss where there's nothing else to ask. Like, we're asking, some of the negative questions, and he's getting irritated. He doesn't like, answering those questions, which I get it. I wouldn't want to answer that either, but it's your job. But, then someone in the back will ask, hey, there was this guy, went 3 for 4. Like, Bretton Doyle went 3 for 4 tonight. He had a really good game. And he'll literally like thank the person, like, thank you for pointing that out. I'm glad we're talking about something good. And it's like, look, I get it. We all want to be positive, but if you get your chin knocked in, and you lose 10-2 or 10-0, and there was only one positive thing to talk about, we're going to talk about the negative stuff, man. Like, that's just the reality of it. So like I said, I think the Rockies as an organization rely too much on toxic positivity, and we have been at fault at that too, because we want the Rockies to be good. We want to look at the bright side, right? I'm not saying that we can't be positive, but I do think there are certain moments, and maybe he'll grow as a manager over time, where I want to hear someone say, yeah, he wasn't good enough today. And I love the guy. I think he's got all the confidence in the world to be there. Kyle Freeland is a perfect example. He gives great post-game pressers. And actually, with the Dodgers example, he answered that eloquently, because we asked Kyle Freeland, because Kyle Freeland got the win on one of the Dodgers games. And we asked Kyle Freeland, hey, man, does it mean a little bit more to you that you got, you beat the Dodgers? And he's like, hey, look, our game plan is the same going into it, but we also know these guys have a insane lineup, right? Like, you've got the best hitter in baseball in the, leading off, and they And he's like, and as a Colorado native, it always makes me a little more happy when I can go get a win against the Dodgers, right? Like that's perfect. That's all I need you to say, just to acknowledge, hey, we don't need to blow this out of the water, but yes, it does mean a little bit more when we get a win against the Dodgers because I know it matters to the fans and it matters to us, that kind of stuff.
Right. And did you listen to yesterday's post-game presser?
No.
See, yesterday would be a perfect example to kind of further solidify your gripe with him, because unless they just pegged him with negative questions the entire interview, the Rockies had 13 hits yesterday.
Yeah.
They had multiple guys, if you're just box score watching, they had multiple guys with great offensive games, 3 for 5s, 2 for 4s. Especially I think Doyle, Fernandez, like 3, 4, or 5, 6, and 7 in the lineup was like, wow, they had a great game and they scored 2 runs. The Giants' 9-hole hitter had more RBIs and drove in more runs than the entire Rockies team yesterday. But I bet if he got a question about a Doyle or a Freeman, they had a lot of those worthless hits, and that's kind of where he gravitates to is, and we've asked him multiple times about runners in scoring position and getting those hits, because the Rockies do seem to get hits when it doesn't matter. And then the second they have a runner on third, 1 out, runner on third, 2 outs. Yesterday, Yankees came up huge with 2 outs, but overall, the Rockies have a lot of great individual performances or solid individual performances throughout games, but they're not putting it together as a baseball team and winning these games. And that just shows by the roster.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I don't mean to cut you off. We do have a little bit of breaking news. It's small, it's minor, but I got to hit this break because we are at the cutoff. So if you haven't seen anything yet, hang tight. We've got some breaking news, Rockies related. We'll touch on this after this very last break. Well, I want to give some love to our friends right now over at Toyota. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR and the Colorado Rockies, and I've got some exciting news. I am jumping in on a almost brand new 2024 Toyota RAV4, thanks to your brother, who's hooking me up with a new Toyota. I am so excited. I got to test drive it the other day and got to see all of the inside, the interior. I mean, you could say good things about all the Toyotas, but now I'm biased. I've got the official 2024 Toyota RAV4 to replace my Toyota Highlander, and I cannot tell you how excited I am. It is the Adventure series, and I like to do a lot of outdoor stuff. I like to go fishing, hiking, backpacking, hunting in the fall. So I had to go get something that could get me out to the places that I need to go, especially in the winter, and this car does it incredibly. It's got great fuel efficiency. It's got, I can't say anything wrong about it. I mean, it's got leather seats. The interior is great. Exterior looks good. The all LEDs. It's got all the different settings where you can change between like mud and snow and asphalt, like all of those kinds of things. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm going to be sharing tons more about this because I'm excited to get this new car. So yeah, I'm excited to continue my long-standing relationship with Toyota. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you if you are interested in picking up a Toyota. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. Also want to give some love right now to our friends over at the Gold Crown Foundation. If you played basketball growing up in the state of Colorado, chances are you probably played basketball through the Gold Crown Competitive Basketball League. But even if you didn't, and let's say you have kids who are wanting to go in and play some basketball, or some of the other sports that they offer, Gold Crown Foundation is an incredible organization that helps connect kids to they always say they're preparing kids for the game of life. It connects kids to some of the sports that they get to play growing up, like basketball, like football, like volleyball, golf. And they even have this awesome, really cool girls-only flag football program. I know if I have a daughter at some point, I'm going to be getting her involved in this. Or should I say my wife, Marissa, will probably get her involved in this because Marissa's going to be that insane parent on the sidelines just getting, all hyped when our daughter's trucking someone or something like that. It's gonna be toxic for my family, but it's gonna be incredible for the kids. So if you've got kids between the ages between 3rd to 8th grade, tryouts are available right now. They've got rec leagues all the way up to competitive leagues. Learn more by scanning the QR code on the screen or signing up online at goldcrownfoundation.com. Okay. We had a little minor breaking news for the Colorado Rockies. I showed this to you because I wanted you to be able to look it up a little bit if you had to during the break. The Colorado Rockies announced today that they have claimed right-handed pitcher Roansy Contreras off waivers from Baltimore. I know nothing about good old Roansy Contreras. You have his information pulled up. What are we thinking?
He's got a career 4.63 ERA, fits right in with the Rocks, but in his last 7 games, or in his last game, he pitched 4.1 innings, gave up 3 hits, no earned runs.
Is he a starter?
Boston. No, he's a reliever.
He's a reliever, okay.
So another guy that obviously looking at this, he went 4 1/3 his last appearance. So another guy that can maybe give you some long, now they got 3 guys in the bullpen that we can get long relief out of. We got Senzatella, we got Contreras now, and we got Ryan Rolison. And I think maybe this means is it Nick Anderson? I haven't even invested a single
Nick
moment.
Anderson.
Nick Anderson's got to be done.
He was already optioned, I believe, or was he optioned or DFA'd? He's no longer on the
okay, good.
The Rockies.
I don't want to see that anymore. Yeah. Let's bring this former Oriole, former Yankee.
How old is this guy?
He is 25, 26.
Okay, so he fits the narrative. He's Mickey Moniak's still older. He's still and it seems to me, am I seeing this correctly, that he's only pitched 1 season in the big leagues?
It looks,
or am I looking at that wrong?
No.
No. Yeah, he's pitched since
like
2021.
He has. And last year he was decent for the Orioles all year. And he pitched, he had like 60 appearances. So.
Yeah, and in his first season, 2022, or second official season, I guess, 2022, he pitched over 21 games, had a 3.7 ERA. Not bad. I don't know. I mean, it's another bullpen guy that can go long. Yeah, and you're right. 5 years. 5 years of big league experience. 26 years old. Okay, why not? I mean, it's not going to piss me off. I'll say that. It's not. I mean,
Felix's brother.
yeah, exactly.
We got Roansy Contreras and Felix Contreras.
Roansy Contreras. Go. Yeah, there you go.
But no, at least like this isn't some shocking signing.
No.
But it's another guy that, like, Nick Anderson is not part of the future of the Rockies. I'm not saying Roansy Contreras, who we literally found out about 5 minutes ago, is, but he's in the realm of being young enough to where maybe they've found some good bullpen arms in the last 5 or 6 years over guys that are just DFA'd that they sign, late. And Jimmy Herget's a perfect example. That those guys have been pretty good. So keep signing these young guys, maybe add to the bullpen and see what happens.
Dare I say the Rockies actually, I mean, you just said it. The Rockies have actually made a couple good signing moves in 2025. I mean, again, Jimmy Herget has been great. I mean, he was a guy that was good enough where you could have thought about getting a trade for him during the trade deadline. Tyler Freeman, great. Totally good. Totally been a good signing. Tyro Estrada was fine, and he's just been dealing with injuries. I mean, like there's
Mickey
been some
Moniak.
Mickey Moniak, another one. Yeah. So I'm not going to go out there and fully say I'm 100% confident in the Rockies front office to go out and make these moves. They aren't in the circle of trust, but I guess recency bias. They've made some good moves. So Roansy Contreras, the newest Colorado Rocky. That is the official 40th man on the roster, by the way. So that does complete the 40-man roster.
It's kind of crazy he got DFA'd. He literally has 1 game this year.
Yeah.
He pitched 1 game.
That's probably
innings,
why he
didn't
got
allow
DFA'd.
a run and DFA.
And they were like, yeah, that's not enough.
And the Rockies are like, yes, give me that.
Who was the guy that we saw? We were golfing the other day in the tournament on Friday. Oh, it was
Walker Buehler.
Walker Buehler. I saw that he got DFA'd or released by the Red Sox. And you and I both were like, oh, the Rockies should try to swoop down into that. I mean, he's been good. He's not Red Sox good, but he's been good. And the Phillies said, yeah, we're picking that guy up pretty quick. Phillies jumped in on him very quickly. So, I did. Any starting pitchers y'all think that could comp to an Aaron Cook or Ubaldo?
I think Ubaldo, Chase Dolander gives me very big Ubaldo Jimenez vibes. A lot of walks, could throw a no-hitter one day.
He could.
Strikes out a lot of guys, and is just kind of wild, but throws hard enough that Ubaldo didn't throw as hard as Chase did, but relatively speaking to when they pitched in the MLB and the average velocity of a fastball. Chase Dollander is Ubaldo Jimenez to me. It's like the exact same scenario. And then Cook had such a good sinker that I'd have to, I don't look at a ton of the minor league guys, but Cook was perfect for Coors Field because he pitched to contact like Senzatella, but had a great sinker that just got ground ball after ground ball after double play after double play. So I don't know about the Cook one, but Ubaldo Jimenez very much comps to Chase Dollander very much comps to Ubaldo Jimenez for me.
Hey, a guy I'm really excited about right now, and this isn't in response to you, Luke, but on a side note, Griffin Herring in his first pro season this year down in Spokane with the Rockies, he came over, I believe, in the Ryan McMahon trade, if I remember correctly. 114 innings pitched this year, 1.8 ERA, third best in minor leagues. He has a 30.9% strikeout rate, a 1.01 WHIP. Yeah, he came over in the Ryan McMahon deal. That's pretty damn good. Third best ERA in the minors this season. Griffin Herring could be a good arm that we see here in the next couple of years for the Colorado Rockies.
If one of those 4 arms that we got I guess it would be 3 arms and then Rock Reggio in the trades with the Yankees. If one of those 3 arms can work out and be a professional level decent player in the MLB, I think you've kind of won those, at least won a trade, depending upon which arm comes up.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think a lot about his pitching motion too. I actually tried to emulate it when I was a kid because he would take his arm, he would like rock back and he would take his arm from here straight down.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I tried to emulate that as a kid.
Do you know who else used to do that? That was the guy that I emulated growing up? Tim Lincecum. Tim Lincecum, the freak, dude. He would have the full spin around. I mean, his back would be facing the catcher,
and his hair flying around. He was so fun to watch.
He was so
when
good.
He was shutting the Rockies down.
I know, and he was so good. And then he just fell off the face of the earth, but he was so good. Speaking of going back down through memory lane, Dion, you want to pull up that graphic? DNVR just put out this graphic where we kind of came together and voted on the best players at every single number out of all of Colorado sports. So this is Broncos, Nuggets, Avs, Rockies. I don't think there's a Rapid in there, but I was surprised that there was a good amount of Rockies in this.
Yeah, Hunter Goodman's fucked.
Yeah,
he's never going to be the best 15 in this. State.
Yeah, he's toast. Yeah, Goodman's going to be a long way from Jokic.
Jordan Beck, he's hosed. Steve Atwater's going to be there for a minute.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Tulo. Alex English is at number 2. I saw a couple people say, hey, maybe Tulo at number 2. Do you think Tulo had enough to challenge English?
This is one of those where it was like our all-decade team, and then everybody freaked out because of all the old Rockies. Tulo as a Rocky, if this graphic means them as a player in Denver, I think Tulo might be there, but English just had a better career overall. I mean, most of it was in Denver, but like Alex English's career, I think if the Rockies win the World Series in 2007, Tulo's probably up there. But Alex English just had an insane, like the numbers he put up as the oldest, one of the oldest Nuggets of all time, and like the numbers were just insane, and he was the guy. But yeah, English, Tulo at 2 is kind of another one, and then I don't know, like you got Nolan, you got Ubaldo, you got Herman.
Yep.
Is that Yolis Chassin 45? That's a weird number. You're just never gonna see that. Who's that at 46? Jason Hamill.
Yeah.
Wow. He was good for a year or two. Vinny Castilla at 9. Galarraga at 14. In 10 years, is there any Rocky that makes their way onto this list? Like, and ironically, a lot of the 2 that I think of would be overtaking former Rockies. It'd be 9, Doyle getting 9, and it'd be Tovar getting 14 at Galarraga. Like those are and in the same sport, I don't see either of those 2 guys getting there. But if we had a different 9, a different 14, I could see Doyle and Tovar maybe working their way onto that. What number is Chase Dollander?
I was
32.
I don't know actually. Yes, he is 32
okay,
because
so Jason Jennings, It's kind of the same, you know.
What number was Charlie Blackmon, by the way? I'm spacing on his number.
19.
19.
Joe Sakic, he's cooked.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, he's not. He's got no shot.
No,
there.
zero chance. That's about as much of a chance as anyone coming up with a number 29.
Yeah. 15, 19, and 29 are hosed forever. And 8. I mean,
and
Cale
8, I was gonna
McCarr,
say,
John Elway 7, that one's hosed forever. Like, you're going to have to,
There's a couple Denver legends.
In the 70s. Let's get some more Rockies in the 70s.
Can we get the Barry Zitos, 75 out here? Come on, get some higher numbers. It's just all linemen. And once you get into the 70s, it's just a bunch
Even
of
like the 50s, like 50 through 79 is just linemen.
I did see Larry Walker, by the way, lefty. I did see a couple people saying that Walker got snubbed, sharing with Patrick Waugh at number 33.
Oh, who's 37, Dion? Can you pull that back up or just tell me who 37 is?
37 is Drury.
I think that can't be Jack Drury. That's got to be Chris Drury. Yeah. Fulford might be hosed too. Dinger's burner.
I don't know if
Chris
Fulford's
Drury is pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if Fulford's getting on that list. It's given that he hasn't even gotten the starting role at the catcher spot.
But
in
maybe
2025.
in 10 years. Maybe in 10 years.
Yeah, sure. I do think the biggest snub on that list, Ed McCaffrey not making the list, it was tough. But we got some more stuff to talk about. We are going to be going into overtime though. So for those of you watching on television, head to thednvr.com to continue the conversation. Tay, I do see your chat. Rockies just claimed Roansy Contreras. We did see that. We talked about it about 10 minutes ago. So head back about 10 or 15 minutes in the show. We talked about that right when it was breaking. Rockies did claim Roansy Contreras off
Felix
waivers.
Contreras' brother from our chat.
Huge news, Felix. Congrats on your brother getting signed by the Rockies. All right. Also, while we're talking about kind of random things, did you see Bill Belichick last night was wearing a Rockies headset?
What?
Did you see this?
Is that why they lost 48 to 7?
I don't know if you guys saw this in the chat
God,
either. Dion, can you pull up the picture I sent? I sent it to you in Rockies assignments. I came across this. I thought it was a joke, actually. And then I went back and watched the video.
Photoshop?
Yeah, I thought it was Photoshop. And then I went back and watched the video, and Bill Belichick was wearing a Colorado Rockies headset. Here, it's in Rockies assignments, by the way, Spence.
Oh, okay.
I
see it right there.
Wild.
On Reddit.
So that's a screenshot. There it is. That is a screenshot of the actual game broadcast. What the hell is Bill Belichick doing wearing a Colorado Rockies headset and also getting whooped up 41-7?
Yeah. Do we think there's any way that this is some other CR?
That was my thought.
It's
it
the exact
has to
same
be.
Rockies but maybe it's the communication company that they use. It's
put it back up there, D. Can we see if we can see? Can you scroll up just a little bit in the picture? I want to see what the top of it says, because so you can't really tell.
But it does say CR.
Yeah,
it says.
But that is as CR as it gets for the Rockies. I mean, that's trademark infringement.
And then on it's actually a law firm called Crumley Roberts. That's the sponsor of it, but. The comments in Reddit were also saying they're certainly channeling the Rockies energy, and that explains the score.
I know. We were golfing on Friday, and we golfed with D-Line, our Nuggets guy. You guys all know D-Line. And I was wearing a Rockies polo, and D-Line was like, hey, good on you to wear a Rockies polo when you are trying to play a sport in which your goal is to score as little points possible by the end. I was channeling my Rockies when I was golfing too. I also, really random side note here before we get into our circle of trust to finish up the show. I don't know if I told you this. I ran into Dick Monfort in the press box at UNC.
Did you quite literally run into him?
I got to pet, I believe, his dog. I think he was there. The dog.
Got to pet his what?
His dog. I got to pet Dick Monfort's dog. I'm going to say that as clearly as I can possibly say.
I got to pet Dick. In the clip.
Yeah, clip. No, I got to pet Dick Monfort's dog. I think it was his dog. It was a golden retriever that was with Dick Monfort. Came into our press box. We had a 2-hour lightning delay, which was brutal, out in Greeley in the middle of the college football game I was calling. And as you guys know, Dick Monfort, very connected to the UNC community. I was shocked, and I was so close to ambushing him with a Rockies interview, just being like, "Hey, can we get this on? Can we do some on record stuff here?"
That would have been pretty electric.
It would have been electric, and I probably would have never been invited to call a game for UNC ever again.
Or the Rockies. I would have had to go to every Rockies game for us.
That might have just put a stamp on my career. But
great call, by the way. That touchdown call you had was absolute fire.
It was fun. You know, it was fun getting to do some college football. But yeah, I was there, and so I did see. I think it was Eric Simmons in the chat was saying, "Hey, what are the chances the Rockies sell, or even whatever sell the team?"
I think they need to sell the team.
And I could have asked Dick that, and I don't think that would have gone over very well. But you know, you live and learn. Maybe next time, guys. But we got to finish our show as we always do on Tuesday officially. Circle of Trust. It's been a weird 11 games. Rockies have lost 9 of their last 11.
Doesn't feel that bad though.
It doesn't.
Maybe it's
feel
just because
bad.
we're just beaten into a pulp of them losing that.
And they haven't been like terrible. Again, you out-hit the Giants yesterday and you lost. Who's in your circle of trust?
Bretton Doyle firmly in that middle. He has just been unbelievable. He made a few, not costly because they got blown out, but when I was at the game Friday night, he's not been as sharp defensively. He's made a few little and it's unfair because he's such an elite defender that the plays that he should make and he doesn't make them, you're kind of surprised, whereas 90% of the other center fielders in the league would never even think of making that play. So it's kind of unfair to him. His defense hasn't been what we'd like to see, but it's definitely Bretton Doyle's in the circle of trust. And then I think Braxton Fulford making a claim. He's not in it yet, but he's circling around. He's dancing around the circle of trust.
He's getting his toes, wet in the circle of trust 100%. A little bit.
He's touching the line. And then, I mean, Jimmy Herget's still there. That guy just is unbelievable. I don't know. I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know if he's happy he didn't get traded, and because the whole thing about your family and living somewhere and getting traded, it's a lot more than it seems on the surface of you're just playing for a new team. Your whole life changes. So I don't know if he's happy about being a Rocky, but I'm happy he's
also safer being a Rocky. People always say, oh God, you got traded to the Rockies or the White Sox. That must be the worst thing in the world. Especially for some of these young guys, these prospects or these minor leaguers or these Roansy Contreras type players. If you get traded to the Rockies, that might be enough to revitalize your career. Yes, you're not going to the playoffs anytime soon, but for guys like Jimmy Herget, you're in a place where there's almost no pressure and you can just go out there and do your job. And to us, what Jimmy's been doing, although by anyone's standards, Jimmy's been really good, but to Rockies fans, it doesn't take much, man. We're like, hey, you're a 3+ ERA guy. We're loving that. You're a part of our team long term. So it can be good for guys like Jimmy Herget to stick around and extend their careers here in a place like Colorado. Moniak, another perfect example of that, right? He was kind of cast aside and thought, is his career gonna kind of fizzle out? And he comes to Colorado and he's revitalized his career here in Colorado. So yes, from a fan perspective, it might seem like, these guys might not want to get traded to Colorado, but as a player, you're just trying to find a place where you can play literally as long as you possibly can. And Colorado is a place in which if you have an average to above average output, you can play here. You can absolutely play here. So
another circle of trust nominee that hasn't been there all year because he's just been so hurt. I think Tovar's getting there too. Tovar's getting really close for me because he's putting competitive at bats together. He's getting hits. They dropped him down in the lineup, which is kind of interesting. I think he hit 6th or 7th yesterday. But Tovar to me is one of the guys that this September is really big for, in my personal opinion. I think he needs to have a good September, finish the season on a strong note, and go into next year and hope. Injuries, you can never count on injuries, but you hope that he's healthy for all of 2026. Yeah,
I just hesitate on putting Tovey in the circle of trust, given the fact that he was 1 for his last 29 before the Giants series. He's had good at bats. He's had some good moments. His defense is obviously really good, but I just need to see a little more from Tovey to be in the circle of trust. He's always going to be a good player. There's going to be little slumps for even the best of the best players. Cal Raleigh, by the way, is hitting 170 or something like that in his last handful of games. So I mean, even the best players have those moments. But I like where you're going.
Keel? Or
far away from it.
Okay.
I am nowhere near there with young Keel.
I know we're going long. Tanner Gordon is in the circle of trust.
Are we giving Tanner
4
Gordon
straight starts against 4 great offenses. allowed 3 runs, then 1, then 1, then 1. He's got an above 500 record as a starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies when they're going to lose 120 games. That circle of trust material for this week, for sure.
Let's go. Tanner Gordon, newest member of the Colorado Rockies Circle of Trust. Please don't let us down, Tanner. We are putting all of our faith in you, as we do to anyone.
Be our stopper.
Yeah, he has to. You have to be the stopgap. Someone needs to be. So Tanner Gordon, it is all on you, my friend. We're hyped. We're excited to see more. That's going to do it for us here on the DNVR Rockies podcast. Again, this is celebrating our Big Brothers, Big Sisters week and month here at DNVR. So if you're jumping on our show on Friday at noon, or also any of the other DNVR shows, Nuggets, Avs, Broncos especially, Buffs, Rams, all of our other great shows, Rapids, be sure to check out Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Leave a donation if you are so inclined. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll see you guys on Friday back at our normal schedule at noon. This has been the DNVR Rockies podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.